So what I was told was there's a belief that government programs will automatically swoop in and save the day. Unfortunately, that's rarely the case. And this is something that the family that we keep referring to told me as well. She said that this has been a big issue. Programs like Medicaid, SSI, they have strict eligibility requirements and provide a basic safety net, but not necessarily a comfortable or comprehensive one. Another dangerous myth is that parents can leave money directly to their children, just in case. And that's great intentions and all, but a lot of times that can actually backfire pretty badly on them.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Distilled Assets. Today we're going to be talking a pretty important
and personal
topic. It's regarding financial planning for families with dependents of
special needs.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's one that we were asked. One of the viewers of one of our episodes and a close friend of ours actually reached out and asked us to address this topic. I want to say out front here, this is not a specialty of ours. This is not a specialty of mine. It's not something that I practice on a regular basis. I'm not going to pretend that I know everything around this topic. And with that said, what we decided to do for this episode, a little different than most of the others, where we're actually just having a conversation and, it's stuff that we deal with on a regular basis. So it's very easy for us to talk about. With this one, I didn't want to give any false information. Because again, I'm not a specialist in this area. I also didn't want to mislead anybody. And so I also don't want to tell anybody or act just because I'm on a video or a podcast that I'm a specialist in this area or that I know all of everything in the financial world. When it comes to special needs, it's not something that I know a ton about because it's not something that I deal with on a regular basis. But it was very important to one of our friends that we cover this. So what I have done is we've compiled the top kind of 15 questions that are asked for families with dependents that have special needs. And then we've gone and reached out to a bunch of specialists in this area that we do work with, a bunch of partners, and asked them these questions. And so what you'll see here is I do have answers to all these questions right here. And I will be reading these specialist answers because this is something that they are good at. This is something they deal with on a regular basis. So I didn't want to try to kind of ad-lib their answers or summarize their answers in any way. I wanted to give you the answers that they gave me. So that way we can convey the education onto anybody that's listening today. With that said, this is all educational information, okay? As we say on every episode, this is not intended for you to take this topic or take what we say today and go off and run with it and create your own financial plan based off of just what we're saying or make any rash decisions. We do recommend you all talk to professionals, you all talk to specialists, in whatever area it is that you're looking for. For those that don't know, my name is Jaimin and Garabedian. I am a financial advisor, owner of Assurance Wealth Management. And Rebekah here is my lovely wife, who is our operations manager of Assurance Wealth Management, as well as a couple other companies that we have. But we are not your financial advisor while on this episode or on any episode that we record. We are giving these for educational information purposes only. So again, the way that we're going to kind of run this today is Rebekah's got the 15 questions. I've got all the specialist partners' answers. I will read through this, and if we have anything to add to it, we can add to it.
Yep.
Sound good?
Here we go.
So this is a lot. This is a lot of information that we're going to go through today, and you're not going to hear a whole lot of our personal insight on this unless it is something that we do know personally. Other than that, it's going to be a number of different partners and specialists that have answered these questions for us because they do deal with this on a regular basis.
Right.
Okay. So what's the first one? Let's
Well,
get at it.
Yeah. You kind of touched base on it, but what brought this topic about, and why is it something that we're talking about today? The importance behind it? Is there a personal story about this? Because you did touch bases that we were asked to have this topic.
Correct.
And it was a friend.
And, we tried to do any topics that anybody asks for, but in this scenario, and the reason we're doing this one today is it is a really good friend of ours. And we love their daughters. We love their daughter, and we love watching her cheer. And I've had multiple discussions with them about the difficulties, and not just difficulties with raising a child with disabilities, but the difficulties with dealing with everybody else that's supposed to be helping. And we'll dig into that a little bit further, but all the places that you thought you were supposed to be able to get help from, or that you're told that you can get help from, don't always come through the way that they're supposed to.
Right.
Or that you expect them to. And so we'll dig into that in a little bit, but that's kind of my main reason for going after this or addressing this topic today is I think it's something that, as she mentioned to me, there's not a lot of information out there. So while she knows a community of people that are in the same situation that she's in, none of them know where to get answers from, or know how to find these answers, or find the available help that they need. And so I just feel like, look, we've got a platform, we've got partners that we know that can help in these different topics. And so why not combine the two? Why not get the answers for people and try to get it out there to learn? And I will say again that this is not going to be all encompassing either. Like, this is not going to be the end all be all of financial planning when it comes to special needs, but we're looking to kind of give everybody a jump start of things to think about, things to look out for, ways to address this stuff. And so that's kind of the reason that I felt like it was very important for us to do this.
What's the word I'm looking for? A compassionate way of looking at it, and being able to be selfless and say, this isn't your area of expertise. You had to go outside of even what you knew. Yeah. Just like these families. It's not right here on a piece of paper. And I think that leads me to my next question, that we're parents. We have 4 children. And I don't think that we could ever grasp the emotional side of getting a diagnosis with your child, whether that be Down syndrome, autism, even cancer, variety of things. But from what you've learned talking to a friend of ours and some of the specialists, what are some of the biggest financial surprises that families face after a diagnosis?
Well, and I don't have a personal answer for this one, because the family that asked us to do this is the only family that I've ever had the conversation with about this topic.
Right.
So I personally know her story, but I don't know, or their story, I should say, but I don't know what's normal. Like, is their response and their reaction and their difficulties the same across the board? I personally don't know.
Yeah.
So I actually went and asked this to one of our partners and got his response on all of this. So I'm going to read this a little bit dark in here, but I'm going to try to read this to you. He said, one of the first emotional surprises is that your world kind of feels like it's beginning to be split into 2 parts. The before the diagnosis and then the after the diagnosis. Yeah. And there's what he called an emotional recalibration that's kind of needed. And not because you love your child any less, but more because your future that you imagined for your children suddenly changes.
Right.
It's not what you thought it was going to be. And many families experience kind of an ambiguous grief is what he called it, or grieving period. And you're not grieving the child, but the lost dreams that you had for the child.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the emotional side of things. And he said from a financial standpoint, many are just shocked at how expensive it can be. And things like speech therapy, occupational therapy, behavior therapy, adaptive devices, specialized education, transportation modifications. I mean, it can all add up very rapidly. Mm-hmm. And insurance often doesn't cover everything. And it requires you fighting tooth and nail for the approval on some of this stuff.
Yeah. So now you have to become your child's advocate.
Correct. Yeah. It's insurance either is going to say no, or they're going to make you fight tooth and nail of why you need to get it approved. Mm-hmm. And he's seen that out-of-pocket expenses can be $20,000, $50,000, $70,000 a year or more annually just to get the just to get this on top of your normal living expenses. And so another surprise he says that a lot of people don't think about is the time. Managing, all the stuff that becomes almost a second career for some people. Mm-hmm. You've got your career. And then, while we are parents of 4, it feels like managing all our kids' activities, their after school stuff kind of becomes a second life for us. So we leave work and we're immediately doing other activities for the next 6 hours. For them, it's even worse or even harder. I don't want to say worse. It's even harder because they've got their normal work that they have to go through to make the money needed for not just their daily living, but also all these added expenses. But then on top of that, it's their kids, depending on their situation, may have extra, curricular activities that they're going to take them to. But then even on top of that, you also have to spend
doctor's visits,
occupational therapy, all these different things that you have to go to in addition. So they're now, he said in a lot of cases, some of these parents are spending 16-hour days between work, extracurricular activities, doctor's visits, therapy visits, fighting insurance companies, fighting, all these different agencies to get the help that you need. And so when I had the conversation with him, it becomes a lot. It becomes a lot emotionally, financially. It becomes, these parents go through some very hard times. And that's why they need help from anywhere that they can get it. Whether that's grandparents helping and taking places or friends, when people say, it takes a village to raise children with disabilities, it's definitely the case. They need help. Both financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like everything.
Yeah, you become their caregiver times 5. I mean, now it's becoming the medical advocate. Then it's transporting them to and from doctor visits. I have a family member whose son has severe autism. And them having to, it does alter their life. It is now, they're not just my child, they're my patient in some ways, and having to get them to and from things. While the parents also I have to be in therapy. I have to have my own outlet. You can't leave the individual alone. So now you have to have someone take care of your child while you're going to work. So yeah, I could definitely see that being a parent to a child who has special needs and requires constant care, the financial difficulties that they face.
Yeah.
And it's a lifelong thing, because I think as parents, there's this idea that my kids turn 18 and they move out of the house and they go to college and they start all these things. And for some of these families, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And past, my death, I have to make sure that my children are taken care of.
And I would say for anybody listening or watching this, that this episode is not just for families with dependents with disabilities, because this is also, I think, for friends or family members of families with kids.
You can help
with disabilities, because you can help and they need your help.
Yeah.
So reaching out, seeing what you can do. I mean, I know when it comes to that kind of situation, even like with us, we don't have any kids with disabilities, but just our parents reaching out or friends reaching out that, hey, do you want us to take your son to swim this week?
Yeah.
So that way it's one more thing off your plate. Like, we're very thankful for that kind of stuff and very appreciative of of that, because we do have a lot on our plate with just the kids themselves. But I think families with children with disabilities need even more help. They need that kind of stuff that'll free them up and even give them some time to just recalibrate, just recharge their batteries.
Yeah, it could be something as simple as wanting to make them dinner. Hey, can I sit down and assist you in your world? Let me be in your world. Yeah. Don't invite them to come out of, you should invite them to, go out and have fun, but if that's not able for them, or that's not what brings them joy, that they want to have friendships that go live in truth. Yeah. This is the reality of my world, and live in that with them. Yeah. Because there is beauty inside of that.
And it's at least offering, right? Because it's not all families are going to want to accept help.
Correct.
So it's just put the offer out there and see. But so there's a lot emotionally, physically, financially that they're going through. And I want to try to address, and that's kind of the point of this, is these next questions are all to kind of address how to alleviate some of that for them.
So with talking with your friend and talking with these individuals, what is something that they've seen that is the myth or misconception for families, the financial side of it, with raising a child with special needs?
And again, I'm gonna say this over and over, but I'm deferring to specialists on this one because I don't know the answer to this. So what I was told was there's a belief that government programs will automatically swoop in and save the day. Unfortunately, that's rarely the case. And this is something that the family that we keep referring to told me as well. She said that this has been a big issue. Programs like Medicaid, SSI, they have strict eligibility requirements and provide a basic safety net, but not necessarily a comfortable or comprehensive one. Another dangerous myth is that parents can leave money directly to their children, just in case. And that's great intentions and all, but a lot of times that can actually backfire pretty badly on them. And what he means by that is if a person with disabilities suddenly receives an inheritance, even a small one, it can now disqualify them from critical services until that money is spent down. So a lot of the services that they were receiving may get cut off when they receive the inheritance until that inheritance is spent down to next to nothing or nothing. And then they can have their services back. There's also a confusion about timing. Many families believe they can, kind of figure it out later, or, a lot of families are like, we'll figure out part of it now. And then when they turn 18, kind of the magic number is we'll figure out the next step. And when we get older and maybe we're, passing away, we'll figure out the next step, like whatever it may be. But when it comes to financial planning, every year that you wait is another year lost to compound growth, to missed benefits, to insurance eligibility. So as he stated here, the sooner you start, the more options you can have. Yeah. So we talk about retirement planning and financial planning a lot with adults. And we tell them kind of the same thing, is the earlier that you start, the better position you can put yourself in later. People that tend to wait 2 years out from retirement, or, hey, I don't need a plan yet, I'm retiring next year, I'll come back next year and do this. But then you've missed a lot of strategies that you can put in place. What he's saying is essentially the same thing, but with kids, there are certain services that you can take advantage of and certain eligibility that you have to start earlier rather than wait until the last second.
Yeah.
And so you have to get some of this stuff in place as early as possible, which then means you need a plan earlier.
Yeah.
So the timing of the whole thing is a kind of a big misconception that you don't need to, if you've got a 5-year-old, that you don't need to plan for what happens when they turn 18, when they become an adult. You don't need to, I don't need to do that till they're 17. Well, you may miss out on quite a bit that you could have done at 5, waiting till 17. So I think he just kind of kept emphasizing on the phone that, like, the earlier the better. The earlier the better. You need to get going with this stuff, because you will miss out on some opportunities or some strategies that you could have taken advantage of.
Okay. But leads me, that essentially answers my next question of when should families start thinking about financial planning for children with disabilities? And that is
yesterday,
as soon as possible. I guess as soon as you get the answer, once you find out that your child has special needs, it's
in kind of the way that I'd have to address this the same way I address regular financial planning or even retirement planning, is that the best time to do it is yesterday.
Yeah.
Because there is no too early. There always is a too late.
Right.
And, one of the comparisons that I always make, or analogies I always make around this, is financial planning, retirement planning, or planning with children with disabilities. It's all the same as far as timing's concerned, because it's like planting a tree. Mm-hmm. So you put the seeds in the ground, you fertilize it, get the soil all nice and ready for the tree. And then as it's growing, anytime that there's any real bad storms or, in life, they would be hurdles. Mm-hmm. What do trees do? Well, when there's big storms or lots of wind or anything like that, they tend to dig their roots even deeper. Mm-hmm. And so they become stronger and they become more immovable because they're getting these deep roots in that are sinking down and holding the rest of this giant tree for its life. Mm-hmm. The financial plan is very similar. No matter what age you're at or what your circumstances mm-hmm. are, the sooner you get it in, the sooner that you can build a plan that will be strong enough that any road bumps or storms, your plan will be able to weather that and will be able to get you through that without any issues, because the right plan isn't just for the perfect circumstance. The right plan is that, hey, we now know that if this happens, here's the adjustment we make. If mm-hmm. this happens, here's the adjustment we make. And so you've got all this stuff lined up already, and all you need to do is pull the trigger on the adjustments as needed. So I think this is no different. The sooner that you can get a plan put in mm-hmm. place, the easier the rest of your life will be.
What is included in this planning? Like, what are the tools that they need, the documentations that they need in order to start building this?
And so that's a very different answer, depending on which type of mm-hmm. planning you're talking about. When we're talking about special needs planning, again, to defer this answer to the specialist, mm-hmm. But he basically told me that there are a few absolutes that you definitely need, essential documents that you need to have in place. A special needs trust is an absolute must-have. And what it does is it allows families to set aside money without disqualifying their children from a means-tested benefits. Mm-hmm. Funds can cover things like education, therapy, recreation, basically anything that improves the child's quality of life. The second one is an ABLE account. That's a tax-advantaged savings tool that allows individuals with disabilities to save up to $18,000 per year as of 2025 without affecting their benefits of eligibility. The third one is updating your wills, which this kind of coincides with any financial plan. Mm-hmm. If you don't specify what you want in a will, the state or the judge will specify that. So that's one of those things that's like, if you don't tell everybody what you want to happen after you die, mm-hmm. you're leaving it up to the state to decide for you. And guess what? They probably don't have your best interest at heart. They don't know what you wanted. And so it's no different with updated wills, because one of the main things that he says that you need to make sure that you're doing in a will is leaving everything, all your inheritance, to the special needs trust, not to the child.
Right.
Okay. The fourth thing is healthcare directives and powers of attorney. I think this one's pretty obvious for most, mm-hmm. Because, again, this is just general financial planning with or without a child with disabilities or special needs. But just having those power directives in place so that if you become incapacitated, who now is going to watch over your child or make decisions there? And that also for when the child becomes an adult but needs help with medical or financial decisions. Mm-hmm. So once that child turns 18, they legally have the right to make all their own decisions mm-hmm. about their health, about their money, about their everything. if they are not capable of making those types of decisions, you're going to want to have a power of attorney and healthcare directives in place so that those decisions can be made in their best interest for them.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is a letter of intent. Well, he said, well, it's not a legally binding document. It's more of like a treasure map for future caregivers, or it's like detailing their daily routines, their preferences, their fears, their dreams. It's basically writing out everything about your child so that if something were to happen to you, you know, heaven forbid you get hit by a bus, that letter of intent now goes to whoever the child's next caregiver is. So that caregiver can now understand that, hey, you know, our daughter's going to freak out if you put anything on a blue plate. We need it. Everything has to be red, or whatever the situation is. But it gives them an outline of how that child's used to living life so that no other major changes occur and make that child's life even harder.
Yeah. It's allowing the transition to go as smoothly as possible for all parties involved.
Yeah. And I think having all of those pieces put together is kind of like the financial ecosystem for families and with children with special needs. It's because all of those play a different part in the ecosystem, but they all overlap. They all intertwine with each other. And so it's important to have all of those in place.
Like in retirement planning, not everyone has the same needs. So from my understanding, not all families with children who have special needs need the same amount of planning. There's different maps, different routes that you take. And so my question is, as far as the planning, does it differ on the severity of the diagnosis?
I would think absolutely.
And how does that work with long-term care, long-term planning for kids? Like you said, when they become 18, they're legally, in the eyes of the law, they are an adult. But they can't take care of themselves, or they just don't have the tools needed, I guess, to live a life on their own. So how do we as the parents take care of them in that aspect? Okay.
So I'll put my own little personal input in here is that yes, they're all different. And it's definitely going to be based off of severity. You know, I think some people with or without special needs, everybody's different and everybody needs are different. So this is the same scenario. If you're going on a road trip, there's going to be people out there that, hey, all they need is a map and a couple of snacks and they're going to get across the country. Other people need mapped out routes that they're going to take with each gas station that they're going to stop at, with each restaurant that they're going to stop at, with each bathroom break that they're going to stop at. They need, you know, it just, everything has to be detailed and step by step by step, and they can't change for any reason. Like that, nothing, otherwise that's going to throw the whole trip off. So everybody's completely different in this aspect. And so I think when it comes to special needs planning, it's the same thing. It's based off of how much independence your child can have. It's some people want to push their children to be even more independent and try to push those limits. But then there's also kids that don't want to be independent, and their parents don't want them. You know, their parents want to comfort them and not push that independence because it's not something the child's comfortable with. And so it goes, I would say, kind of both ways there. And when I asked our partner this, his answer was, if a child is expected to achieve some level of independence, the focus might be on building skills for living semi-independently with some financial safety nets in place. You might prioritize college savings, employment support programs, or first-time homeownership strategies. If lifelong care is something that's going to be anticipated because of whatever the special needs is, the plan must be much more robust, ensuring permanent housing options, 24/7 caregivers, ongoing medical care, financial trustees, and all this has to span decades because the financial engine, it must be strong enough to go 40, 50, 60 years after the parents are gone. So it's planning for
another life,
a whole nother lifetime. It's planning for your child's lifetime of once they hit 18, they're adults, but how independent can they be? And how independent do they want to be? And now you've got to think of who's going to take care of them, who's going to look after their best interests, financially, who's going to take care of them, or can they go get a job and make some money? And if they get that, what other types of programs are now going to be canceled out, are going to be deactivated because they're making too much money? Or, there's a lot to consider there. And so I think just like no two retirement plans or financial plans that we build look alike. I don't see this as being any different. I think every family's got a different circumstance, and they all need to be planned out for. Now, how in depth or for how long a period depends on your situation. And so the long answer, or the short answer to the long question, is it depends. And I hate that answer for any question, but it truly does depend in this circumstance on whatever their situation is.
Yeah. This is like really heavy. I'm sorry. I'm just like, I imagine it from a mom's standpoint of I don't know what I would do. I mean, obviously I know that I would fight to the ends of the earth for my child to be taken care of while in my care and beyond that. But I mean, I think it is something quite mind-blowing to realize that there are families out there that retirement to them looks very different. I might be retiring from my job, but I'm still going to continue being a parent and having that legitimate fear of I am everything for this child and being able to pass that down. And I'm trying not to cry. I don't know why all of a sudden I got emotional. But there is something, my heart breaks for those parents. I don't know why I'm crying about this. I think because our we've been lucky to have 4 very healthy children. And I can't imagine having that feeling of hopelessness. And we're sitting here and we're recognizing that this probably doesn't have the resources that are handed out in a way that is helpful. From what we're talking about, it does feel like the experience of, here's your child's diagnosis, go figure it out.
Good luck. Yeah.
We will be talking about this later, about how we can help in this situation. But yeah, I don't know how these families do it, and feeling. And we can say this because we have 4 children and we talk about the importance of educating. And so now you become a parent and I have to educate myself in order to take care of my child. And so you briefly talked about the programs that assist with this, and that's what? It's Medicaid?
There's a few of them, yeah. So the ones that I already mentioned were Medicaid and SSI. And what those are, SSI is Supplemental Security Income.
And this is designed specifically for families?
With special needs. Yep.
With special needs.
It provides a monthly cash benefit to people with disabilities who have little to no income or assets. Their eligibility typically starts at 18 years old. And even if their parents are uber wealthy, it's okay because the individual's income is what matters on this. So the 18-year-old in that case, their income or lack of is what matters. Medicaid, often paired with SSI, Medicaid covers essential health services and long-term care or long-term support services. There are also waiver programs that offer extra services like home-based therapies.
Like ABA. That's something that I do know, which is for individuals who are autistic. It's like in-home therapy that the therapist can come to their home.
Okay. Yeah,
there are some things I know.
Didn't know about that one. And then there's also SSDI, which this is not just for special needs, but anybody with disability. That's Social Security Disability Insurance. This comes into play if an individual has a work history or qualifies through a parent's Social Security record. So it's a way of them collecting Social Security if they've paid into it, or in a lot of cases, if you're of a certain age and your parents pass away, you can collect their Social Security.
Oh, okay.
And I also believe, I'm pretty sure that is, if there's a wide enough gap between the age of your parents and the age of the child, that up to, I want to say it's like 24, don't quote me on that one. If your parents are old enough and collecting Social Security, they can get an extra Social Security check for that minor. It
doesn't go to the minor, it goes to the parents.
Again, you might be like...
It goes to the minor, I believe. Okay. So again, these couple of things I'm not 100% on. Not something we deal with very often or at all. So, but just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can be pretty honest that we're relatively new to this information.
Absolutely.
We did recently take a client.
Yes.
Who
and we are starting to learn it as needed kind of. And that's what I think was great about this episode for me was being able to talk to a specialist about this and learn from them what they go through about all this, so I can better understand what our new client is going through, as well as our friend who asked us to do this podcast. But yeah, I mean, I'm learning a lot during this process too. And one more thing about those different government programs is that a lot of times applying involves getting medical records, school records, financial documentation, often across several years.
Yeah.
So expect paperwork marathons is what he called it, and lots of follow-ups. Working with an advocate or disability attorney can sometimes smooth out the path. And so it may be beneficial to look at hiring somebody like that to help you with this, because what he made it sound like is there's mountains of paperwork, and there's also a lot of back and forth phone conversations about getting this all accepted and moving forward.
And then knowing what pieces affect other pieces.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, well, we saw that with this particular client. It's jaw-dropping that it's obvious that she has some disabilities. I'll give you one right now. She can't talk.
She's deaf.
She's deaf. So she communicates through sign language. And she's being denied disability. And they want to prove that she's deaf. And you're like, how do you prove that? So now she has to go do testing. Well, she's already done testing. So then that caregiver's having to take her to all this stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a common pitfall for applying and maintaining eligibility for these programs. You know, what does it look like to apply for these things? Because I think we're coming to the conclusion that it's not black and white.
Yeah. And I think applying and getting accepted as difficult as we're being told that it is. One of the harder things and more common pitfalls is actually losing it once you do get it. And it's, and a partner of ours was telling me that one huge pitfall is accidentally overfunding the child. For example, if well-meaning grandparents open a savings account for a disabled grandchild, that could push the child over SSI's $2,000 asset limit. So, hey, it's our grandchild's birthday. We want to give them a couple $1,000 for their birthday. And so we open them up a savings account so that they can start saving for whatever it is, goal that the child has in mind, a new, I don't know if they can drive, but a new car or whatever it is. And the grandparents go and put a couple $1,000 in there. good intentions, but now they just screwed up their SSI income. They can't get SSI because they're over the $2,000 asset level. And that's why we talked about those trusts being so important, of putting everything in there, because that goes around the means testing.
So you're telling me a simple gift
Yes.
to a child has serious implications because they're getting assistance
Yes.
in order to take care of said child.
Correct.
I'm so sorry.
And another is missing the recertification deadlines. Many programs require annual updates, or you risk losing benefits temporarily or even permanently. Finally, a lot of families underreport income, thinking it won't matter. It matters. Transparency is key because discrepancies can cause huge headaches or even fraud investigations. The safest way is always structured planning using trusts and ABLE accounts. So, yeah. I mean, they not only make it very hard
to get it,
but they make it very easy to lose it. And so it's following a lot of these rules and getting them, making sure you're staying within these boundaries so that you don't lose any of your assistance. You look like this is just upsetting you even more and more. And it is upsetting.
I mean, because it's a constant, it's not only are you trying to take care of your child, it's you're having to think constantly about all these moving parts that are all trying to help you, the parent, financially take care of your precious little gift. And that, I mean, that is jaw-dropping. I mean, the way we're saying it right now is overwhelming. But, I think, now I'm understanding why he said, it's really important to start the process yesterday, as soon as possible. The moment that you get that diagnosis. I mean, I say that, and I'm sure families are like, okay, great. I just got this diagnosis and you're telling me just to go start doing things. But I can see why there's going to be a lot of education and knowledge and research and finding everyone to advocate for your child and making sure that you're taking the correct stepping stones so you can get it, you don't lose it. That seems like a lot. So, okay. So how do financial decisions today affect, these future aids?
All right. Well, the answer that I received was every financial decision. And again, I hate the fact that I'm just reading this, but I can't exaggerate enough. Like, I don't know this stuff. This is not stuff that I deal with. So I'm having to read what somebody else wrote because they do deal with this. Right. And so I just don't want to misrepresent that I know this stuff and act like I know it all. I also don't want to give out wrong information. Okay. So I'm basing this off of a partner, and that's why I keep reading it, even though it frustrates me to have to read somebody else's words on our podcast. So the answer to your question was every financial decision it kind of has a ripple effect. It's like setting a ship's course, a few degrees off now can mean hundreds of miles off your path once you reach the ocean. So, and I get where he's kind of coming from. This is kind of like what we do for financial planning as well, is that if you just get a little off course now, it just compounds and compounds over the years, that by the time that you get to where your end date, you're way off course. Right. So leaving money directly to a child can wipe out SSI and Medicaid eligibility. Choosing the wrong types of savings accounts can create disqualifying assets. Even earning income in a child's name without proper reporting can mess up all their benefits. So thinking short-term fixes instead of long-term sustainability is a critical mistake that a lot of parents make. Working with knowledgeable planners can help families keep their child eligible while still building strong financial base for them. So the way that I took that is basically stop putting Band-Aids on issues, put a plan in place that will make sure that everything is taken care of the way you want it taken care of without losing all the other services and help that you need.
Right. Okay. Understandable. So here's where the conversation takes a turn, because we've been talking about putting all of these systems in place when the parent is still here. The parent has the ability. So what do we do? What's the next step with once a parent has passed? And so my question is, what are the best ways to make sure that long-term care for the individual continues after the parent is gone?
And I would say that the answer here is similar to estate planning that we do already. Is that a lot of times I like to compare it to, making a quilt for your children. Try to keep them warm, keep them secure. But quilts aren't made of one piece of fabric.
Correct.
And so I think the retirement planning quilt, if you will, is going to be a little different than the special needs quilt. And all that means is you're using different tools. So the tools that we would be talking about for the special needs is again, that special needs trust, which sometimes is funded by life insurance. Sometimes it's funded by savings, and creating that letter of intent to kind of guide the caregivers moving forward once the parents pass away. And then build what he calls a circle of care, which is trusted people like siblings, aunts, uncles, friends, social workers, anybody who is ready and willing to step in the role of wrangling guardianship, from guardianship to informal support. So anybody that's willing to step in and take care in some form or fashion, have that kind of planned out ahead of time.
Okay.
And talk to those people ahead of time and make sure that they're not only willing, but able to help. And the more documentation that you get in place, this means less traumatic transitions for your child, and people stepping in for their care too. You don't want to leave either the child or the people that are stepping in to help them in a big mess.
Right.
Everything needs to be documented and well laid out long ahead of time.
Okay. Does he give you specifics on like how family members, extended family members or children can get involved? Or is he just saying that in the event of when the parent passes, that they take the role that the parent had? I
think it's going to be all about choice, right?
Okay.
Because not everybody's going to want to get involved. Not everybody can get involved for their own circumstances. But I think it's all about kind of clarity of what it all looks like and talking to people about what it looks like. And then it's going to be their choice ultimately if they're willing and able to step in. Right. But as the parents, you need to be as clear as what it takes to step in. Yeah. You don't want to, I think in my opinion, the worst thing that you can do is undersell. Right. How much work is involved in this and what they're actually going to have to do. And them saying, yeah, we'll do it. We definitely want to help. Whatever. Right. And then it comes that time and they're like, oh, this is a lot more than I expected. Nobody. I don't want to do this. Right. So I think that's one of the big problems. But he says the first step is having open, honest conversations early, which is what I just said, long before the needs arise. Some siblings may feel obligated but overwhelmed. Others may feel passionate and want to help, either in a financial or emotional support type of way. But you need to define the roles clearly. Maybe one sibling manages medical appointments, another oversees financial matters. Support can come formalized through guardianships, documents, trusts, and powers of attorney, with built-in flexibility for life's inevitable changes. But, this is where I was kind of coming in here, is that what he said is burnout is real. Yeah. Planning for shared responsibility and professional support reduces the risk of overwhelming any one family member. So again, going back to the concept of it takes a village. Don't expect just because you, mom, have been taking care of this child your whole life by yourself with some assistance, that when you pass away, that there's going to be somebody willing to do the same thing by themselves. Right. But I think getting a village, getting multiple people to help in different areas that they're good at. If you have a family member that's a nurse, maybe that person takes care of the medical needs. If you've got another friend or family member that's good with money. They take care of the financial stuff, divvy it up with what people are good at and who's willing to help. I think is the best way of doing it.
Yeah. I wonder if there are sports groups as well.
I'm sure.
Because I wish that that's information that we had of like support groups that, whether that's other podcasts or meetings that you could go to that would assist. Because I would think that, like, I'm a mom. It's very isolating sometimes.
Yeah.
So, if there's anything I can say, I guess I encourage people. I encourage you to be okay with asking for help. I think that benefits every party involved. The
expression just came to me, but I feel like I'm mixing two different ones now, so I'm scared to say it.
Oh, say it so we have it on camera.
I think the expression I was looking for is jack of all trades, master of none.
No, I feel like I've heard you say that.
So, meaning, that you don't need to be great at everything. As long as you have people around you that are great at things, you can lean on them for their specialties.
Yeah.
Hoping that's the right expression. Otherwise, somebody will let me know. Put it in the comments. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm okay with it.
I'll be getting on later. You were wrong. So I have a particular question here, and I don't even know what this means.
Okay.
It says, what does a holistic estate plan look like for a family in this situation? I know what an estate plan is, but a holistic
estate plan just essentially means all-encompassing.
Oh, okay.
So it's taking every aspect.
Okay.
So when we look at estate plans, it's not just a will. It's your will. If you need a trust, if you need powers of attorney, if you need healthcare directives, if you need a transfer on death deed. But, that's kind of the general core of the estate plan. The holistic version of it would be, okay, we've got all these parts in place. Now, what about the IRAs? What about the investment accounts? What about the life insurance? What about the annuities? What about your home, your rental properties? It's looking at everything holistically as a whole.
I like it.
Okay. So
what is the difference between what a family without special needs versus a family with special needs?
So I think it comes down to, I always, again, using another analogy, is I always look at holistic estate plans as kind of a roadmap for the next generation. It's laying everything out. Not sure which, I think it's laying everything out. Look at this.
Are you glitching
I can't.
today?
I am. I'm so tired today, but it's all right. Laying everything out in a way that the next generation, whoever your beneficiaries are, will be able to follow your roadmap very simply and easily without a lot of fight, without a lot of pushback, without a lot of arguments. Just here's what we wanted. Here's how we wanted it. Here's the roadmap to get us there.
Yeah.
So I don't think that this is going to be a whole lot different in the aspect of do you need to have a holistic plan or just an estate plan? I think it's more of the tools and the tweaks to the plan are going to be a little different with special needs. And again, we talked about a will and everybody needs a will in their estate plan.
Right.
Well, with this, they need a will and special needs trust.
Right.
So it's just adding that extra layer. You need a will and a special needs trust that all the assets will get directly transferred into the special needs trust rather than to the individual. Life insurance also needs to fund the trust. So life insurance, the death benefit doesn't go to the individual, it goes to the trust.
Okay.
Guardianship documents, if the child needs one after 18, that'd be another part of that holistic, because that's not really the estate plan per se, but that's looking at, hey, when you pass away, who's now going to take care of the child?
Right.
Or I guess they're 18, so they're an adult. Healthcare proxies and powers of attorney. We talked about this earlier, is who is now going to make decisions. You need an estate plan or healthcare proxies, powers of attorney. You need one so that people can make these decisions about you if you become incapacitated or as you get older, that they can make these decisions, healthcare and financial decisions for you. But then when you pass away, again, we talked about somebody's going to need to make those decisions for the child with special needs. So making sure that those are in place for not just you, but them as well.
So their estate plan is taking care of their, meaning the parent stuff, plus the child's.
Correct. And the last piece is what we talked about earlier, that kind of letter of intent, that outline of what's this child's day-to-day activities look like. What do they like? What do they hate? What are their dreams? What are their nightmares? You know, all the just day-to-day details of their life. So whoever does step in that role knows that child more intimately day one.
Yeah. It's like that binder that I give.
Yeah.
I give your mom every time I go on a trip, and it's, here's all the doctor's information. Here's a copy of their health stuff, emergency contacts, everything. Literally everything is in that binder. If you have any questions, in that binder. Next step, call so-and-so.
That's essentially your letter of intent to my mother when she's watching our kids.
There you go.
It's no different. Except the letter of intent would be, if you were to pass away, what do these kids like and don't like? And what do they do on a daily basis? It's
passing the baton of
parenthood.
Yeah.
To the next one.
Yeah. So, yeah, it definitely does sound like you said, it takes a village. And in this situation, it takes an even bigger village, and that village needs to pass on.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, as a parent, you know, that is very isolating. So where can these families find help? And that is legally, financially, and let's talk about emotionally.
We're going to need to get you that number soon.
Look,
this has been an emotional drain on you, and we're only an hour in.
I have help. I have a lovely little number that I call, and I talk about all my stuff. I love my children, and I love you.
Yeah.
But it is a lot.
I would say, and you know, it's not very often that I will tell people to not come to me as a financial advisor, but I would say in this situation, I'm probably not their best choice.
Right.
I would say to go to somebody who specializes in special needs affairs and planning for children. Okay. So like our client that came to us has a special needs person in their family who's dependent on them, but she is an adult. We can help in a lot of those situations and a lot of that planning because they've got more of the adult planning and they've already taken care of a lot of the stuff that we're talking about here today a long time ago. And so that's where I'm going to say if you've taken care of all this stuff and you're looking for financial planning advice from a non-special needs point of view, we can help. But if you're looking for special needs planning and getting some of this stuff done and making sure all the documents are in place, find somebody who's a specialist in that. Find somebody who does that for a living, and that's
I can't imagine them doing anything else. The amount of hurdles that they would have to know.
I mean, and he mentioned that there are some organizations out there like the Special Needs Alliance and the Academy of Special Needs Planners, which list certified special needs professionals. So again, I'll say that again for anybody that wants to write this down. The Special Needs Alliance and the Academy of Special Needs Planners. The Academy of Special Needs Planners is where they have a list of certified special needs professionals. So that would be a great place to go and look to start your journey.
Yeah, I'd love to know if they have to have some sort of certification.
I'm sure they
certification.
Well, it says they're certified, so I'm assuming they do.
Yeah. Learn something new every day.
For emotional support, there are local parent groups, so keep an eye out for those.
Facebook.
There's a ton of online communities. One that he recommends looking at is Parent to Parent USA. And another one is a nonprofit like The Arc. Those are both fantastic online communities that you can go and look up and get some help with.
We'll definitely put those in the description for people.
Yeah. And I'm not vouching for any of these. I don't know anything about any of these. I'm going off of his recommendations here, but those are ones to look at. But just don't be afraid to kind of build a team, right? You know, we talked about this a while ago is Jack of all trades, master of none. Find a financial advisor who specializes in special needs. Find a special needs attorney. Again, an attorney who this is their specialty. Find a social worker, a trusted mentor, parent, or a few people that have already gone through this and have already set everything up, and get them to help you on your journey. Okay. So don't think you have to rely on yourself and you have to do everything. Get out there and find yourself a team.
Yeah.
And if you need help finding those teams, check out all these online communities that we mentioned. Check out the Academy of Special Needs Planners and find some professionals in your area that can help you out. But get a team behind you. Everything is easier with a team.
Yeah.
Start siloing off different areas that need of activities that need to get done to people that specialize in those activities.
I mean, I would think that you as a parent, it is important for you to advocate, but not to juggle all of these things literally all by yourself. But yeah, I'm glad that he included, because I was going to have to go do some of my own research and be like, I'm going to do this.
We still can. I mean, we can go do some of the research on our own, and we'll research some of these as well that he mentioned. And we'll put them in the comments. For anybody watching this on YouTube, we'll put them in the comments and put some links in there so that you guys can go check it out.
I do encourage that if you are listening and you are a parent of a child with special needs and you have a Facebook group, a podcast, you have someone that you would highly recommend them talk to as far as an attorney or an advisor, don't gatekeep.
Yeah, use this as a platform.
Yeah.
I mean, because you know that whoever's watching this video on YouTube is in the same boat that you're in, most likely.
Yeah.
So feel free to connect with each other in the comment section, share some advice, share some specialists or some professionals that you know that are really good. Share some of your own online communities that you use. Put that stuff in the comments so that other parents and other families can see it and they can get the help. Yeah,
even if it's just words of encouragement, like, "Hey, you got this." Yeah, you got this. I started from nothing, and this is not the end of the world, or whatever it may be. I do really encourage that this be specifically this topic be an encouraging, supportive, loving community. I will hunt you down if you have anything bad to say. Okay, so. And that's how do communities better support families with special needs? And I think it's coming together.
Yeah, I think it's just listening, right? I mean, I think that's the key for anybody, for any group of people, any community, is listening to one another and seeing what each other's needs are, and not just listening, but hearing them, right? It's offering assistance. It's offering accessibility. It's offering knowledge that you have. It's offering connections that you have. It's spreading the word more. There's a lot that people can do to help. It's one of those things that, just something as simple as you said, where, hey, you put in the comments, any families watching this, you got this.
Yeah.
That alone could make somebody's day. That could make them smile. That could make their day a little bit brighter. And it takes you 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's not going to, affect you in any way. It's not going to take enough time out of your day to change your life.
Yeah.
But it could change somebody else's.
Yeah. I mean, and I do encourage that if you are a parent and your child doesn't have special needs, and you're at a playground, or you're at a coffee shop, and your child sees another child, and kids are inquisitive, don't shield them. Allow these children to feel like a vital member of society, because they are in their own way.
The other thing I want to kind of mention is putting forth the effort to advocate with your local politicians for better services.
Oh my God. I think we're starting to see
for better funding, for updated rules and regulations that make the help that these people need easier to get. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but the fact that if somebody with special needs has $2,000 to their name, that they can't get special needs help.
Yeah.
That's baffling to
Yeah.
me. I mean, you at that point, you are completely government dependent,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody should be government dependent.
Correct.
So government should be there to help. These programs should be there to help,
Yeah.
not to control you.
Yeah.
And so I'd say go out and advocate where you can to get some of these changes made,
Mm-hmm.
because I think everybody could agree that changes do need to be made here. I learned a lot in this lesson of trying to learn about this stuff and having these conversations with our partner about this, that it opened my eyes to how underfunded and inaccessible help was. And it's very sad.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the moment that a families get this diagnosis, the last thing they need is to feel like asking for the necessary needs of this individual should not be difficult. It shouldn't. My mind is blown sometimes about that, but I really do want to mention again, the importance of everyone advocating, being a voice, being a part of bettering these family members. And that can be through donating. That can be through volunteering. That could be any sort of thing. I mean, you even talked about going and really paying attention to what politicians are saying about this and how can you be a part of this change. I think one thing that we can all agree on is children deserve to be loved and taken care of. And we can assist with that, even if it's not our own.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think the last thing that I want to emphasize and discuss here is people that are just starting this journey, or even those families that have been on it for a while, listening to what our partner had to say and listening to him describe some of the families that he's worked with, and listening to our friend and how things are going with them, especially for those that are just starting this journey, it's going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tiring. You're going to be fighting a lot, and you're going to be fighting people you shouldn't think that you should have to fight. But it gets better, and it will be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Once everything is kind of in place, and once the fighting, is finished, and you've got your plan in place, you've got all the services in place that you needed to get help with, you've got your team built, your dream team kind of built and helping you, life will get a lot easier. Life will get better. So, don't get discouraged. I think everybody in life, whether special needs, families of special needs, or people without, and families without, everybody's got struggles. Everybody's got hard times. Everybody's got things that they go through. This too shall pass.
Yeah.
This too shall pass, and you will get through it, and things will get better, and you just need to put yourself in a position to allow things to get better.
Yeah.
Put your plan in place, put your team in place, join some of these support groups, get involved in communities that are like-minded, and talk to people. Don't try to do it all yourself. There's no reason to.
Yeah.
There's too many people out there that are willing to help, and there's too many good-hearted people that truly do want to see you do better, see your kids do better, and help you. There's too many of them for you to try to do this yourself.
Right.
So that's kind of where I wanted to leave things, is just, it'll be all right. It'll be okay. You need to just get out there and put things in place that will allow your life to get easier.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for watching today, or listening, depending on where you're at. As always, I'm going to ask you to do the algorithm thing, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, share this thing, put a comment down below. I don't know. I'm going on and on, but all the algorithm things that you know that you need to do on social media that will allow the algorithm to tell the rest of the world that, hey, this is good content. Listen to this. And it'll also let us know that you're enjoying the content and that we need to continue to do this, that we need to continue to put out more content. As always, if there's any topic that you would like to hear more about,
or if you want us to expand on this,
just reach out. You can send us an email. You can comment below if you're watching this on video. You can hit us up on any of our socials, whatever. If you really want to find us, you can find us. Not that hard. But
don't be creepy.
Yeah, we love doing this. We love getting the education out there. So let us know what else you want us to talk about. Let us know if you're liking this or if we need to change something up. But it's important to get educated, and that's what we're here for. So we're trying to educate as many people as we can. And look, just like this, if I don't know the answer, if we don't know the topic, we've got 65 specialists that we work with, and that number's growing. We'll find somebody that knows the answers, and I may just have to read a whole nother list of question and answers. But look, if it's the only way we get this information across to you, so be it.
Yeah, and look what we learned.
Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely been. This has been a fun, eye-opening segment.
Yeah.
So I do really appreciate that one particular individual who asked us to cover this topic. Thank you. And I look forward to our...
Thanks, Mama. You know who I'm talking to.
I'll just leave the room now. But no.
We love her and her husband and their daughter. They're awesome. So thank you guys. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. And if I can have a quick ask of you, is go make somebody smile today. Okay? Just Please. No matter how big or small it is, just go make somebody smile today. Make the world a little bit better place.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Love you. Bye.
All right. Bye.